Hey AfterBuzzers, welcome to the first ever Twin Peaks after show here at AfterBuzz TV. We're so excited. We're talking about the first and second episode. We obviously have a lot to say, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, you twin freaks. I'm gonna call you twin freaks because that's what we are. Thank you so much for tuning into our Twin Peaks after show here at AfterBuzz TV. I'm your host, Sam Davidson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at SamD43. Right here, I have this pretty cool guy. You know, he knows a lot about stuff.
I'll take it. I am Lex Michael. I am dead, yet I live, kids. And I am all over social media at the Lex Michael.
And this awesome person, look at him.
Do you like my
at him.
Twin Peaks outfit?
Yeah.
I got everything at Horn's department store.
You did it well.
Hey guys, I'm Michael Shirley, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Michael X Shirley.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining. I'm Lisa Mason Lee, and you can find me everywhere at Lisa Mason Lee. Hey, and we're on the live chat. Ask us questions, comment. We're here, we're watching, we want to talk.
We're aficionados.
And you know, this is a perfect show for us to all talk about it, especially in the live chat. So I couldn't recommend more for people to talk in the live chat and to comment on YouTube when they're watching it. Before we break down this episode, is anyone else feeling like super emotional that it's back? And you watched it and you're like, oh my God, what just happened?
Yeah.
We're striking a nicely emotional tone, or a mellow tone right now, rather, that I feel like is going to gradually implode the further into this conversation that we get, because I'm not going to be able to contain myself once we hit certain plot points. Yeah.
I know. You guys, I made an owl noise. What was that?
Owls
It
are not what they
literally
seem.
just came out of my mouth. I am an owl. What happened? I don't know. What are your guys' pasts with this show?
Oh my gosh. Well, I was
Ladies first.
basically a little baby, and my mom was watching Twin Peaks, and I can barely remember it, but I remember some of the episodes. She'd be like, okay, you gotta go in your room now. She put me away. But anyway, it was an interesting thing to see at that time, you know, when TV wasn't that exciting. I mean, it was exciting, but David Lynch was so edgy at the time, as you guys all know, and it's great to have it back.
Yeah, I found it in college. My best friend in college loved it, and I've always been a huge John Waters fan. So she was like, "You really need to see this David Lynch show," and I was just like, "What in the world did I just watch?" And I just slowly got addicted to it.
I know, it's like a very dark hole that you can get yourself into.
Yeah,
what about you, Lex?
I found it the better part of a decade ago, and it was at a time where it had been off the air for, I think, over 10 years, and we all assumed that after Fire Walk With Me, that was it. There was to be no more Twin Peaks at all, and as you guys and everybody listening know, the show ends on about the most profound gut punch of a cliffhanger imaginable. And I felt like, I know there's no more of this story, but I can't let this go. So my only outlet for the longest time was to just everybody that I could get to sit down and watch the whole show. I was like, you're going to sit here and you're going to go on this journey with me because I need you to know this pain that I live with every day. And then, you know, also I found the books as well, you know, in the time between
Laura Palmer's Diary, too.
Yeah, The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer, the autobiography of Special Agent Dale Cooper, My Life, My Tapes, which is way out of print, but if you look hard, you can find it online. And then, of course, super recently, Mark Frost put out The Secret History of Twin Peaks, the first of 2 novels that are to tie in with this new series, which I read when it came out. I assume I'm going to be going back to it more than once in the weeks to come. But there were a couple of things that came up in this episode tonight where my brain just caught fire. I was like, that's like the book. Oh my goodness.
And I think specifically they said that Fire Walk With Me was going to be referenced, and that was going to be a big chunk of this show. Rather than referencing season 1, season 2, it's Fire Walk With Me, which I rewatched last night, and it scared the panties off of me. I'm not even going to
I just love that. I love it. It's so gritty and
Yeah, it was my first time ever watching Fire Walk With Me. I actually watched it last week because I had read that, you know, we should see that before watching this series. So, wow.
It fills in like everything that you feel like you didn't know.
Yeah,
you
like,
know, like this
wow,
Leo,
Laura was wild, wasn't she?
Yeah, I'm very glad that it seems like in the last handful of years, Fire Walk With Me has undergone this critical reappraisal, because when it first came out,
People booed.
Yeah.
people were mad. And I get that if you loved Twin Peaks and you knew, okay, this is it. This is David Lynch's final statement in the Twin Peaks universe. He's going to answer everything. We're going to find out what happened to Cooper, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that's not what he did. And I get why, if all of your hopes were riding on those answers, it was maybe disappointing. I get why maybe it was not initially better received. I think it's, if not his best movie, certainly top 3 for me personally.
It was freaking awesome.
It's terrifying, it's harrowing, it's deeply upsetting, because it's a story, more so than it's a story about the Twin Peaks mythology, it's a story about trauma and pain and grief and violence, specifically sexual violence. It doesn't let the audience off the hook at any point in the story, which is why I had no clue what to expect from the tone of this show. David Lynch has only become an even more alienating artist since Fire Walk With Me. Have you guys seen Inland Empire?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was expecting something a little more in line with Inland Empire. The first thought I had when these 2 episodes ended was, wow, that was infinitely more coherent than what I was expecting.
I was, what the heck? You know, I think we all had so many different reactions
Yeah.
to these 2, and it wasn't 2 episodes exactly. It was a full-on movie.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, you know, they say we're going to premiere with 2 episodes or a 2-hour thing. No, this was actually just a full-on 2-hour.
They did that with all their
Event.
season premieres. All the season premieres were 2 hours.
Like back in the 90s.
Well, the first and second, yeah.
Yes, for season 1 and
Sorry,
season
yeah.
2.
I'm like watching it and I'm like, why is this episode so long? I'm
But
like,
I mean,
oh,
okay,
it's
you can't.
season.
Listen, I mean, you're in your 30s, right?
Yeah, I'm 31.
So we can't, you know, you were young at that age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Youngish. I'm just going to call you out on that. I will
Right.
say that when I was that age, I had an older brother, 13 years older than me, and he liked to terrify me. And this was what started it. And a lot of things came after Twin Peaks, but he was like, watch this, Sammy. He liked to scare me. And so I still have nightmares about Twin Peaks, but then when I rewatched it, it was like good nightmares.
Yeah, yeah. I rewatched it as well. I crammed before this, I will admit, and I felt like, wow, I should have seen the whole series years ago, because I felt like it made me feel a little more normal about my own dreams.
Some people don't remember their dreams, and I just love that this show gives a nice shout out to people that somehow remember their dreams. They're not psychopaths.
Color,
Might be,
lucid.
maybe. Well, on that note, let's start to talk about Agent Cooper, and we see him, with our good old friend, the tall man.
Are we talking about Doppelganger Dale?
Well, no, we're not talking about Bad Dale yet. We're talking about regular Dale.
This weird monochromatic prologue that we get, where it's okay, so it seems like, because they're doing the backward speak and he's talking to the giant, that we must be in the lodge somewhere, but this is where my brain starts going like, all right, well, what do these very specific aesthetic choices mean? Why here are we in black and white, where everywhere else in the lodge we're in that classic, the red curtain and the black and white floors? Why, like, minutia, like, why in those other color black lodge scenes is Cooper wearing that pin on his jacket, and why is there no pin in this prologue?
I want to know why the floor is a different color.
You said that. That was
It's
a
driving
good
me
point.
nuts. It's like maroon and white instead of black and white, the little zigzag floor.
But back to the pin, would that by chance? It's not the same color that the ring would be in Fire Walk With Me, right?
No, because the ring was that
was
like big, like
turquoise,
that emerald-looking
kind of,
green
yeah.
thing.
And this was a different color. Because I honestly just rewatched it a couple days ago, so I was thinking I'm ready to see that ring.
I'll be very curious to see where the ring pops up, especially when we know that Fire Walk With Me is supposed to be a big part of what we're going to see in this new series. And then doubly so because the ring factors into Mark Frost's book quite a bit. The Secret History of Twin Peaks expands the mythology throughout history, going all the way back to the discovery of that region of the country in the Lewis and Clark expedition, where Meriwether Lewis came into possession of that green ring and was eventually driven insane. He died under very mysterious and violent circumstances. The ring passes through history, eventually ends up in Richard Nixon's possession at one point.
You're gonna have to read this.
This book is mind-bending, and we're going to talk about it. I may tip a little bit of spoilery stuff for the book.
Lex is our god right here.
As applies specifically to what we're hearing in these 2 episodes, I will give ample warning if everybody wants to like plug their ears for a second, but it's all speculation and theorizing, so I'll save it for a little bit later. But all of that to say, that ring has got to pop up in some capacity over the next 14 weeks.
Well, having read all that, does the number 430 mean anything to you?
So these clues, no idea, but as we know, the giant is the guy, right, who appears to Cooper and gives him these weird cryptic clues. In the season 2 premiere, famously when he's bleeding out on the floor, that's when the giant tells him,
I'm trying to help you too, he says.
Yeah, there's a man in the smiling bag, right, and the owls are not what they seem, and without chemicals he points. Mm-hmm. They never really figured out what the owl thing meant within the universe of the show.
I think we're supposed to find out now.
Hopefully. Well, but also there's enough as an audience member where you can speculate, like clearly they're vessels for, if not Bob, some of these other spirits, but the characters in universe didn't answer that question for themselves. But the other 2 clues obviously led them to eventually solving Laura Palmer's murder, so these clues must pay off later in some capacity, but as of this moment, I got nothing.
Well, we have a lot to find out, but we have these new characters that we start, getting introduced to. We get taken to New York City, and I love that they're kind of telling us where we are, and they're taking us all around the country. And they do that throughout the 2 episodes. So we have, I say the guy in the basement, but it's not. He's above, right?
Yeah, it appears to be.
Yes. So I personally thought that this could be a child of somebody we know.
Yeah, you were like, who is that?
I know. I was like, we know him. His face looks so familiar. But he has, some girl come up or down. Well, both, actually. It doesn't matter where he is. She still goes down.
I see what you did.
I really loved all that B-roll.
Yeah, a lot of Showtime. I'm like, yeah, Showtime. You got it.
You're talking about the shots, right? The city shots.
New York City B-roll was
beautiful.
So David
Gorgeous.
Lynchian.
And that
I was talking about
ambient hiss in the background of the shots. Have you guys noticed the sound?
Yeah.
The soundscape? Yeah.
I thought that was just our headphones. But
Oh, no. No, we should rewatch it with your own headphones at home and just really take it in.
Well, when I made that pun, I meant that she was going down and they were up.
Oh, I know.
Yes, we get that. So it's these 2 new characters. We're not really sure who they are, when they are. What did you guys feel about this? Did you think that you knew what was happening at all, or no? Because am I the only one that didn't know what was happening there? Lex,
I had no idea.
What do you think?
No, I did not know exactly what was happening. But before we get to the 2nd episode, in the first episode it starts to pay off a little bit. But before we even get to that, I saw all of these cameras surrounding this glass box, and the first thing I thought of was the scene in Fire Walk with Me. It's I believe the first time we see Dale Cooper, and they're at the Philadelphia field office.
David Bowie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's the scene with David Bowie, where Agent Cooper goes out to the hallway, and he stands in front of the camera,
yes.
walks back to the monitor bank, he's not there. Walks back out, stands in front of the camera again, walks back to the monitor bank, looks, he's not there. Walks back, stands in front of the camera a 3rd time. At that point, Philip Jeffries enters from the elevator, and when Dale Cooper looks back at the monitor, he is still standing there in that hallway. That was the first thing that I thought of when I saw that camera setup.
I love it. It's a time-space continuum. I mean,
I want to know what that box is.
It looks like a teleportation device of some sort.
I'm not
And
gonna
it
lie.
got deeper?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
he was inside of it,
Yeah.
it pushed him back.
It's very
I
scary.
really liked that.
If I had a superpower, I would do teleportation.
Oh, heck yeah.
But not like that.
No, that looked horrifying.
Yeah, that looked very
you don't want
scary.
to teleport into that box.
So it kind of changed my
Right.
mind as far as superpowers that I would have. But we see Ashley Judd,
Yeah, she was one of the first like big new names that we get to see.
We see Ashley Judd, but like we also see Ben and Jerry Horn.
Of course,
Oh my
of course.
God.
Is that what Ben and Jerry came from?
That's what
maybe?
I was thinking.
No,
Yeah, exactly.
It's a playoff that. I always figured it was a playoff that.
Well, at least it's a nice callback.
Well, could you guys even recognize Jerry? I mean, he's all
He-
bearded. He's
oh
like
my
a
God.
pot connoisseur.
Yeah, I have it written right here. Time has been cruel to Jerry Horn.
I thought Jerry Horn has been having so much fun.
time Yeah, he
and
looked like
good
he's having
for
fun,
him.
yeah.
Always had the time of his life.
The way he
Oh my
entered,
gosh.
even if Ben had not introduced his brother by name, and even if I didn't recognize David Patrick Kelly under the beard, the boisterous, excited, like parade-like way Jerry enters the room, I felt would have been unmistakable. And the fact that he's now running what sounds like a very successful pot business.
Legal, too.
Right, which is almost the most no-brainer thing to me that happened in these 2 hours tonight was that Jerry went into the pot business. That tracks so
I actually
perfectly.
liked Jerry. I never did, but now I go, yeah, man.
Right. Jerry was always kind of sketchy. He was seedy. I always was like kind
And he
of
had
anxious
the weird,
around
like,
him.
hey, he had the weird voice. Don't worry, man. Like, no. But now he's all chill. And
Yeah.
he's old and he likes to smoke a lot of weed.
I want to see Audrey. I don't know what you
Oh
guys.
my
I
God.
wanna
Can we
see
get Audrey?
I think Audrey was always high. That's my theory. She's just
Really?
been high all the time.
I've always wanted Coop and Audrey to get together.
Oh, heck yeah.
That was apparently a
Heck yeah.
plan at one point during the original run, but in fairness, I think somebody pointed out that he is an agent of the FBI and she is an underage girl.
She's 18.
But wasn't Heather Graham's Annie? Wasn't she underage too?
She was in high school.
She
because
was-
She got
she
out
was-
of the convent.
Yeah, she was maybe on the younger side, but I believe, again, this is all
She was
scuttlebutt
legal?
from 20-something years ago, but I believe part of the reason she was introduced was as an alternative to putting Coop and Audrey together romantically.
I mean, couldn't they just make Audrey a year older?
Seriously, just so we
They
could have
never
a
even went to high
satisfaction.
school. Like after Laura dies, they don't even go to high school anymore.
Well, okay, Laura Flynn Boyle. You know, I'm just saying.
Oh wait, let's not talk
to-
about that.
What if she's
Oh.
watching? We can't talk about Laura like that.
Hey,
Laura from
Hey,
Boyle,
we're just,
I wish
we're
you-
just wishing
oh.
we saw her on the
Yeah.
IMDb. Like, we wish she was listed as a cast member on
I
the
really
season.
hate recasting.
well, you know
Really?
what? That's more of a reason to talk about her.
Okay.
So,
Dish it, Sam.
all right, I'm getting into it, guys.
Well, Lisa Witt's gonna be in here. I mean, it's gonna be on the show.
Who played her
yeah,
sister.
she plays
Yes.
the sister. So I want to, and Dr. Hayward's gonna be in the show. So I feel like we're gonna find out. I hope they throw shade at her. They're gonna be like, yeah, Donna like dropped off the earth.
Yeah.
Like,
Donna's a bitch. No, listen, we all love Donna, and it's a character, it's a fake character, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys can't get mad at me
Yeah.
for calling her a bitch. But I'm just saying that it's very interesting to see people recast, and she used to date Kyle
Yes.
MacLachlan in real life. So,
what?
Yeah, while they were working on the show for a little while, the two of them dated.
you guys, this is like 20 years ago, so don't get mad at us for talking shit.
Okay, but how about the recast of Man from Another Place, or the
Oh,
arm? He's a tree now.
Okay, all right, let's do it. We're just jumping around now. This is amazing.
Have
So,
to.
again, now I don't know any of these people personally. If you do a little bit of Google searching, you can see some of the things that Michael J. Anderson has said publicly over the last couple of years in regards to David Lynch. That is none of my business either way. Suffice to say, it seems like they had a falling out at some point. When it was announced that he would not be returning, obviously my first thought was, well, how he's such a massive piece of the iconography. The Man from Another Place, dancing around in his little red suit. How do you do those scenes without that character? And then I went back and I rewatched the final episode of the original series. And one of the things that the Man from Another Place says to Cooper in the lodge is, when you see me again, it won't be me.
Yeah, you're right. And that did not look like him.
Look at
It certainly
Lisa.
did
Mind
not.
blown.
It did not. So when he's in the second episode, since we're just jumping around now, when he sees Mike, the one-armed man,
Yeah.
I went, oh, well, all right. I guess that would be the most obvious way. You could he was Mike's arm, right? You could just conflate the two and have Al Strobel play the personification of both of them within the lodge. And I was like, all right, we're gonna do that. And then they walk into this other room. Here's the evolution of the arm. It's an electric sycamore with a brain head on it.
The arm is a brain.
Like you might have lost an arm, but you've gotten a tree and a brain on top of it.
So, and there's a lot to unpack even there, because although I couldn't really tell you what that's all about, the first of all, okay, the tree
limbs.
well, he's the arm,
Oh,
right?
that was a
You
good
guys,
one.
we're just gonna
to.
be throwing around theories because the show is so crazy and I love it. All of you are crazy like I am. We're all the same, hopefully. But I'm thinking that it's alternate, things that could be happening. Alternate storylines, universes. That's what the tree is for me.
That actually makes some sense, right? Because we don't know, it's the evolution of the arm, right? But we don't know what he's presumably this electric tree is not his final form, right? So he's, well, again, I'm pulling that out of nowhere, but I'm going like, that wouldn't be my final form if I had any say in it. I wouldn't be the electric brain tree guy. But I do think it's interesting. The tree is a sycamore, right? Just like the trees surrounding Glastonbury Grove. And it's also electrified. And we saw in Fire Walk With Me how it's not, they never explicitly tell you how they do it, but it seems like electricity has to do with transporting these guys around from place to place. Like if you remember, there were those shots of the phone poles and the wires, and you'd hear the little interference sound on the score, and you'd hear the arm doing the thing on the soundtrack. So I'm like, all right, I don't know why he's the electric tree, but at least this is comprised of elements that are recognizable in the mythology.
Exactly.
Sure.
That was the one thing in the show I couldn't take that seriously. What about you guys?
Oh,
I was just
that
like,
one?
no, but the tree, I cannot take that
It's
seriously. I'm just
funny.
like, what
I
is
think it's
this?
supposed to be a little humorous.
You think?
I do.
It's
It's
campy.
kooky. They do campy stuff.
This
Yeah.
show created campy, for
Yes.
me at least, and that's one of the reasons I love it so much. We got a couple new characters, of course. Bill Hastings, who is Matthew Lillard.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Love him,
He's
but
killing it.
I just kept on looking at him and I go, Bob, is that you? Bob.
I don't think so. I don't think
Right.
it's Bob,
I mean,
yeah.
he had a lot of Leland Palmer vibe.
He
to
did.
him.
Yeah, you kept saying that.
I
But
was
then we
feeling
did
it, but
see
then-
Leland on and off through the whole thing, and it's throwing me off.
Well, go ahead.
No,
No,
I-
I gotta hear your theory
well,
on this.
So okay, so I'm not, again, I don't know exactly what's going on here. We've seen people who have been possessed by Bob that are not behaving so animalistically and erratically as he does when he's just letting the Bob flag fly, as it were. Right. So possibly, and we saw that Leland, while Leland was possessed by Bob, would go back and forth from these moments of very frightening intensity to these moments of, oh my God, what did I do? I feel so deeply. You see it a lot in Fire Walk With
Yeah.
Me, where
Yes.
he'll terrify his daughter and then sit upstairs and have this moment where it's like Leland comes back and he feels this deep, he doesn't even necessarily know what he did, but he feels this
Right.
deep pain and remorse. There are moments where you can see some intensity to Matthew Lillard's performance, and then there are moments where you see some vulnerability. This to me is an example of, I think, what's going to be really easy to do as we get further into this show is read a lot into things that aren't necessarily meant to be read into that deeply. This is definitely connected somehow to everything else that's going on. As we saw, his wife, Bill Hastings' wife, was
Hillary
paid,
Clinton, you mean?
Hillary Clinton doppelganger.
Winston Churchill's cousin.
And I'm
Yeah.
just saying,
real
her
life.
husband's name is Bill. And
So
it's not bad that
But
I
as
said
we-
that. It's a connection.
But as we
Looked a
saw,
little old for him.
she was paid a visit by the Dale doppelganger, so we
Yes.
know there's a connection. I'm not sure that there is a possession connection, although we did see the spirit, I guess is what it is, in the cell next to Bill, or a few cells over, whose head floated away. So there's definitely something afoot. I don't know if there's a possession element to Matthew Lillard's storyline yet.
Or it's
I mean-
just like a ghost thing?
We got to talk about that lady
Which-
that was head was cut off and it was like laying
Oh,
in the bed
Ruth
with a
Ruth-
man's body and a woman.
Ruth
Oh.
Davenport.
Davenport.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, so that
Oh.
ties into Bill Hastings'
Yeah.
storyline, Ruth Davenport. So we see her kind of twisted up in the bed,
Yeah.
and it's a bit disturbing, but we do realize it does not look like it's supposed to look, and I think a head is on someone else's body. And, we figure out all of these things that maybe obviously someone had to do with that. And she is put together by somebody else. And back in the days of, Twin Peaks when it aired, that wasn't exactly what we were used to, putting body parts together.
You couldn't go this gnarly on ABC in 1990.
Yeah, but now we're just breaking people apart and putting them together, and I love it. I knew that Showtime, they gave us boobs, they give us body parts putting together, so.
We also get, leading up to the reveal of this body, we get this really long sequence with Ruth's neighbor talking to the police, and I'm so on board with everything David Lynch does. So this was all 2 hours of this was like candy for me. Mm-hmm. But I was watching these sequences going, so this is about where people who aren't on board with Lynch are going to start getting pissed off, I think. Because we're spending so much time on this weird, like, it's almost like oddities and quirkiness for the sake of oddities and quirkiness. I was on board. We did spend a lot of time with this lady, but we're following this investigation as it's happening, and I think there are sufficient details we got in these 2 episodes to suggest, okay, this is definitely we're calling him Dark Dale or Dalepullganger.
Yeah.
Dark Dale.
How do you say that?
Dalepullganger?
Dalepullganger.
Well, it's called Doppelganger, I realize now that all the shows I love copy Twin Peaks in many ways.
Yeah, we're talking about Pretty Little Liars and how it's
Well, I'm thinking of the Van Brothers, the CW shows, Doppelganger, but you know what? They actually created the OG Doppelganger.
Yeah, if we started listing the number of shows since Twin Peaks that have cribbed from it heavily, we would spend the entire show just doing that, probably for the duration of the run.
Which is why I love this show so much. I really love it. But the thing about the Doppelganger is that it's kind of terrifying. Mm-hmm. Are you guys a little bit scared by all of it? Does it make you have nightmares?
No,
like me?
I love scary movies. No, it doesn't make me have nightmares.
You don't ever have nightmares?
Sometimes, but
it's never about Twin Peaks, because for me,
no, it's not. No,
I've been rewatching it and the movie, and I'm like, yo, that's where I had my OG nightmares from.
Right, Fire Walk with Me is definitely more on the scary side, but the season 1 and 2, I wouldn't say I'd have nightmares from that, but it accentuated my dreams.
We'll see what happens tonight.
What do you think of Beulah?
Yeah. Huh?
Beulah. Do you remember Beulah
wait,
tonight?
which one was that again?
The lady that didn't have any teeth.
Oh, Beulah with the nice nails and the no teeth. She was living in the house where
I
evil
hope we see
Dale
more
came,
Beulah.
knocks the guy out. So was it Otis who was sitting in the chair and he was drinking moonshine?
And Daria.
Yeah, and what is he like in charge of? Daria and whatever his name was. Was it guys? The one that Daria was in cahoots with.
Oh, his name.
Like Dale's bitch.
Jack. No, the other one, Ray, was the other one. Jack was the third guy who they talk about, but we don't.
But we don't know.
Right.
Okay.
I want to see more of that family.
Let me just say, guys, bear with us. Bear with us as we trek through this entire thing, because I kind of wish we could all see it at once and then we could talk about it. But we don't exactly know what is happening. Mm-hmm. But
what I do know, though, is that when he's sitting talking to Otis and the guy he took out outside comes back in with the gun, the way he casually just whap with his hand and the dude's out was
Are you talking about Dark Dale?
Yeah. It's about the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Dark Dale.
Dirty Dale.
Well, Dirty Dale, Dee Dee,
He was always
Dee Dee's
a great
kind of
shot.
hot in a dirty way.
So you get to see, as time's gone on since the show, he's even in his doppelganger form, he's just as tough.
I mean, listen, if you get some tanner on somebody and grow their hair long, I think that's a great thing for actors to stay young. I'm just saying.
A little spray tan doesn't hurt.
I've
noticed that with older actors. Sometimes
you guys are looking at me like I'm crazy, but
no.
I'm
There's
right.
a lot of older actors that get tans, to kind of fade the lines and that sort of thing.
I loved Dark Dale, and there was a lot of stuff that was happening with him. So, can we talk about the doppelganger again, the situation? Because there's him in the red room, and then there's him in the real world, which is he's murderous, and he's kind of not harassing, sexually assaulting, possibly, girls. He murdered that girl. Straight up murdered her. But we also saw a part where he saw Laura Palmer again. What did you guys think about that? And, I mean, Laura Palmer has aged, of course. The actress has aged, but in the last we saw her, we'll see her in 25 years.
And it was basically like a reenactment of the first time, right?
Yeah.
The first Red Room
There are a couple
experience.
repeated lines, and I
Yeah.
feel like I know her, but sometimes my arms bend back is
Yeah.
from the first Red Room scene on the original series. Yeah, I mean, obviously they all look older because it's been 20 some odd years, and these actors have obviously aged. But I'm curious to see if there is an in-universe explanation for why these versions of themselves, or their spirits, or their souls, or whatever it is that's still stuck in the lodge, why they have aged as well.
And then there was that part with Laura Palmer where she was sucked up.
After she
Yeah.
whispers something
And it was
to him.
terrifying. It was so scary. And she got sucked away. And you go, oh crap, she shouldn't have said
What
that.
about when she like?
Opened her face.
Yeah,
face
opened her face up. I mean,
Oh my god.
Pretty much.
I
And
really
she
wish
doesn't know it's her, but she does know it's her.
I
I
wish-
mean, I feel
yeah.
like that sometimes.
I wish I could give the answers to everybody. I wish I could be that person that could say, listen, this is what happened. But
We're gonna find him out.
Yeah. Yeah, and if
We're
you
gonna find out,
guys
yeah.
have any input, we're on the chat here, so let us know what you think. I
yeah,
see-
is anyone chatting?
Oh my God, there's a few. Teresa Stewart's commenting, Charmed Original, Dave Ski.
I love Charmed
So-
Original.
Yeah.
She always comments on my
She,
shows.
they said, was the woman Tracy who brought in the coffees Grace Sheffield from The Nanny, and then another guy answered it, and he said, yeah. So
The thing about this reboot of the show, that's what I'm going to call it, is that we have so many famous people that are low key
wow.
that we have seen a million times before. And we're just there, and they're kind of like thrown in on the low key vibe.
Right, like, I mean, you brought up Ashley Judd before, who was in one scene in the first episode as Ben Horne's, secretary?
Yeah.
something like that.
And it's seems so strange that you'd cast an actress of Ashley Judd's caliber and notoriety to play a fairly small and consequential part. But the flip side to that is that we're talking about David Lynch.
She might have a bigger role.
She may, and of course we've got a number of weeks to see how involved she is. But if she's not that involved, I'm just going to chalk it up to it's Lynch be Lynch.
I think any of those actors and actresses would just love this kind of a role. I mean, it's like he very rarely does stuff. So when you finally get a chance to audition for him, I feel like
Apparently, I heard that there were a lot of actors that called him up and were like, "Hey, put me in this." So there's a cast of over 100 different people that
Yeah.
are gonna have cameos.
Well, what's interesting too is he apparently doesn't audition people in any traditional way. He apparently looks at photographs and casts based on that. He'll look at photographs and then he'll say, okay, this person. And then they'll meet with that person and then they just talk, as far as I know, is what I've heard about his process. So there aren't really auditions in a traditional sense.
I did work on the show as a stand-in, and one of the guys, he was got booked through a background casting service, Christopher Gray, and he told me, well, he played the guy that was opening the garage for Dale. Do you remember that part?
Yeah.
The one where he does the face mush thing?
Yeah, he massages his face.
Yeah.
He said he just was told he needed to send in a 1-minute video about himself, and that's how he got the part. Just on the phone, just a selfie video.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he got it.
that tracks.
Lisa, I love that you were a stand on the show.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
But not a body double, Sam.
I know. You didn't get fucked up the butt.
Can we
Sorry.
beat that? Is
it's
it too late?
night. No,
Sorry.
it's fine.
It's a Showtime show.
She
We're good.
thought but I should just claim that butt.
I said it
oh,
again.
that was my ass.
I said it the first
Definitely.
time,
No.
and Lisa goes,
wish.
"No, that did not happen."
I
Don't
was
say that.
so confused, but no.
You
it's-
looked at her like,
I just said it again. But no, you stood there, and then
Uh-huh.
everyone else had all that happen, right?
Yeah. No. Well, stand-ins, actually, we basically do all the marks, and the crew lights us, and we kind of do all the rehearsals, and we watch the actors, and the actors watch us, and then we find all the right spots, and then we step out of the frame, and the actor goes in, and they do the role.
you're part of this.
So wait,
Yeah.
who were you the actual stand-in for?
For a few people, for Ashley Judd, Laura Dern, some other people that I don't think I should maybe
So
say
she
everybody.
knows the most secrets.
So you could
Yeah.
potentially confirm or deny whether or not
We're
Ashley
not
Judd
gonna
factors
make
in.
her.
No,
We're not
pl-
gonna make her do it. But
I'd almost be mad if you did.
They're so secretive. I mean, I don't know if they even want me doing this show.
I feel like you would, be taken to the red room and that'd be the end of you. So
That's fine. I'll be good with that.
Be stuck there
25
all
years.
alone.
We get it, 25
That's cool.
years.
Put me down. Put me in.
So again, about Dale, we have this entire thing and he is able to jump out. Do you guys think that I'm just confused? I'm so confused about who he's going to be present day and what
Yeah.
I
all
want
of
Bob
this
out
is.
of
Is
him.
Diane still going to be around?
Diane.
Is he going to have his tape recorder?
I think that it's, been passed. Maybe he'll. I made a really stupid joke as we were watching it, and I'll say it again. 13 Going on 30 is a really dumb movie, but I love it.
No, it's cute.
Is that the one that's
cute.
basically Big, but with Jennifer Garner?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I got vibes of that this time. Again, big vibes. That's the perfect example. Big. I'm afraid that he's gonna jump back into the world and
Wait, there's like
be
an interdimensional glass box with murder ghost in it and 13 Going on 30?
Well, no.
Do I gotta watch 13 Going on 30 right now?
In my mind, yes.
Okay.
There has to be something that happens in between. So I think that he's gonna go back into the world and kind of be a little bit confused.
Presumably he's missed quite a bit.
Cell phones.
Cell phones alone! Like, hand Agent Cooper a smartphone as soon as he comes out of there. His brain's gonna explode.
But, okay, I just want to clarify something with you guys. The Laura Palmer of it all, the doppelganger, I never really figured that she had a doppelganger until the very end, until Fire Walk with Me. But what is her doppelganger? Where is she? Who is she? And how is this happening? Because I think that's going to be a very big part of this show.
Wow. Yeah, huh? Well, what about the cousin? You didn't think that was
Maddie?
right. Did you think that was simply just her cousin?
Yeah.
There was nothing more to it.
Ooh.
Well, I thought yes, because it was Lynch very much likes the blonde brunette dichotomy. You see it pop up over and over again in his movies, and it also, you could argue, it's a nod to like Hitchcock, and also the aesthetic of going all the way back to, it's a hardcore sidebar, but in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, which of course you've got your blonde and your brunette, there's a little kid that is so David Lynchy. Go back and watch Howard Hawks' Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and look at the little David Lynchy kid and tell me there's not some weird, bizarre universe connective
I
tissue
always
there.
thought the kid that lived next door to Harold in the second season that lives with his grandmother that pulls the cream corn out of the.
Who's dressed
There
like a
was
little
a
David
corn
Lynch.
thing.
He
What
looked
corn-
just like David Lynch.
And what did the corn represent? Wasn't it just evil?
It's
It was-
Garmonbozia. It's like
Yeah,
pain
yeah.
and sorrow that they
Right.
eat, and it looks
Corn
like
is
corn.
delicious, but I don't think, but I don't really see that. I see peppers maybe. Peppers are pain and sorrow, not corn.
But peppers don't go down as smooth as the like those really gross close-ups of them eating the corn in the movie. Okay, we got to hit a lot of stuff because we're gonna run out of time pretty soon.
Yes.
Gosh,
Okay.
no.
All right. We have the log lady, you guys. Gotta
Oh.
talk about log lady.
Did you bring your thing?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Mike,
wow.
you got a
We
log.
have a special
Michael
surprise.
has a special surprise.
Yeah, I was saving it, but I guess for our predictions. But
Oh.
to honor the log lady, I brought my log. that
Yeah,
I
Catherine
carry out.
Coulson,
Yeah.
who worked with David Lynch his entire career, stretching all the way back to Eraserhead, who of course passed away in 2015, shortly after completing her scenes as the log. Telling you something?
What is she saying?
Make sure you watch next Sunday.
Put your
at
hand
8
on
p.m.
it.
That's right, log. Plug that show. But seeing her, knowing that she passed away of cancer very shortly after filming her scenes, and seeing her, it looks like they incorporated some of that into her character. That, I don't know about you guys, like that got me. That was the first time that I genuinely welled up watching.
Did you?
I did. No, like that got me. Like I'm not even
Really?
ashamed. Like that
That's
got
sad.
me.
It made me think, did they come to her? You know,
What do you mean?
like instead of like being like, hey, we need you to fly out to Hollywood, shoot these scenes. I'm
Yeah.
like, I bet they went to her.
They may have.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple of those stories within the cast. There's been a few people that have died, and they filmed them, which is so fascinating and amazing that this show can kind of continue with that, and that it's just very timely.
Yeah, Miguel Ferrer, who played Albert,
Yeah, it's
shot
a-
his scenes and then passed away.
It's a bit creepy.
Warren Frost, who played Doc Hayward and is Mark Frost's father,
Yes.
just passed away recently, but he shot all his scenes. But we're talking about the log lady, and this is some stuff. This is the first thing that happens that ties into the book, and I'll save the book explanations for maybe next week's, just tease. But when she tells Hawk there's something missing, it has to do with Agent Cooper, and the way you're going to discover it has to do with your heritage. Some red flags went off in my brain. And then, of course, there's some business with this conspiracy that seems to be shaping around Dark Dale, who is apparently supposed to return to the Black Lodge, but is refusing to. And somebody is trying to have him killed. And it's a conspiracy that apparently involves Philip Jeffries, who was David Bowie's character from Fire Walk With Me. And then they also, on this mysterious call with someone who may or may not actually be Philip Jeffries, they reference, oh, you met with Major Garland Briggs, correct? He says he did. And
that got me. I love him. I love his character.
Don Davis, incredible. And of course, passed away.
Oh, he
passed away years and years ago.
Well, there we go.
But that too, having read the book, set off alarm bells in my head.
Well, guys, I am so sorry. I wish we could sit here all night and talk about it with you, but we can't. On that note, let's get into some predictions for the next couple weeks.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
We got this.
Here.
Bring out that
Ladies
log.
first.
What does the log tell you?
Will you
What is
pass
your
it
prediction?
around?
Yeah.
The log tells me Dr. Jacoby is gonna have some pinnacle part in this.
Yeah, we didn't even hit on this weird random scene with Dr. Jacoby getting a shovel delivery.
It's gonna be a really
I think he was
smart
bearing
thing.
about 3 people.
Love too, though, that he was wearing dark glasses over his colored glasses.
Signs, you know.
The log tells me that a lot of ladies are gonna die before this show's over.
Man, I like too much. I'll sit here for 20 minutes and just speculate wildly. There are 2 more episodes that are going to be available, that are available now, right?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about those next week. David Lynch talked about this as an 18-hour movie split into chapters, and I think the first 2 episodes certainly bear that out. I am beyond thrilled. If you guys can't tell, I'm beyond thrilled to be back in this world. It's like I said earlier, it's like 20 some odd years of Christmases and my birthdays all rolled into a couple of hours tonight for me. I love it. I'm real pumped. That's my prediction. I'm just going to continue to be effusive about it.
That log's excited.
Oh my god, this is so exciting. I love him. So I think that Shelley, obviously, we saw her at the end of the episode, is going to be coming back into play. And also, who else do we see? We forgot to mention him.
James has always been
James and
Always
Shelley,
cool.
I think maybe have some kind of thing going on.
Yeah, I want to know who Shelley's husband is, because she said that she has a daughter.
And her daughter's involved with the wrong guy, which is
Well,
something
big
Shelley herself would know more than a little
Yeah.
about. We're going to meet their kids at some point, too. The kids of this generation
Yeah.
of characters.
James's son was with them. Did you notice that?
Was that his son? This kid, I think,
so.
was British.
Oh, he looked like a little James. Never mind.
Well, you
Anyway.
know what? I think there are some kind of kids coming into play, like I said earlier in the episode.
Andy and Lucy's son is about 24.
Yep, there is something happening here. So thank you guys so much for bearing with us and all of our theories. And we love you all so much. And we are going to talk to you all week. No joke. Follow us, tweet at us, and comment in the YouTube comments. On that note, where can everyone find you?
Hey, you can find me at Lisa Mason Lee everywhere on the internet.
You can find me at Michael X Shirley on Instagram and Twitter.
I am all over social media at the Lex Michael.
And I'm never letting go of this log pillow. You can find me at Sam Davidson at SamDavidsonEntertainment.com, Twitter and Instagram at SamD43. We would love to hear your theories, so please continue to talk to us, and we will see you next Sunday. Thanks, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.